back to Plant Solo Projects and the fight against mosquitoes. We're on the front lines here, trying to survive in their season. So anyway, I want to kind of show you a couple things that go towards prevention when it comes to mosquitoes. What we can do to kind of prevent them from reproducing and creating more mosquitoes and creating a bigger problem. Surprisingly, with mosquitoes, if they do get a blood meal, it can increase their number of eggs they lay exponentially. So it's in our best interest to do what we can to prevent them from having a place to lay those eggs. Now, more fascinating is that with mosquitoes, they do look for standing water, but not just standing water, anywhere that's close to water. They may lay their eggs, and when it gets wet from a rain, storm, or something else may happen, those eggs will hatch, they turn into larvae, and then as they grow, it takes about 7 to 10 days from what I've been reading for them to get to an adult stage. That's when they live another 2 weeks as adults. They basically propagate that cycle over and over again as they regenerate. Anyway, so over winter time, they lay their eggs. Those eggs basically go dormant for the winter season, and they overwinter that way. And so when the nighttime temperatures get up to about 50 degrees plus, once that happens, about 50 degrees plus, you can start seeing those mosquitoes start to hatch. They start to develop, and then they turn into adults. And those adults are, it's funny, you know, we're so busy fighting each other in this world sometimes I wonder if we've forgotten the real enemy, which is mosquitoes. So anyway, we're going to take a look at some prevention methods and see what we can do to kind of limit our mosquito problem here in this area. Some of the big mosquitoes that we have are the Asian tiger mosquito. It's a big one here in Texas. There's a couple other ones that are more common that we have. The Asian tiger mosquitoes, they do feed during the day, whereas the other mosquitoes are more morning and evening time feeders. So we kind of need to plan for both types. So let's go and take a look at the property, and we'll take a look at things that we can do to prevent them from having places to hide. All right, so let's take a quick inspection here. And you know, as I'm reading and studying, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll actually find some larvae in the hatching process. I hope we do. So anyway, obviously online they talk a lot about standing water. This is probably a big no-no. It just rained last night. They say anywhere that rains, if it's rained and it's still holding water about 4 to 5 hours later, that could be a problem. Right now we're lucky, the temperatures dropped to almost 50 degrees last night, so it's really depressed the mosquito population this morning, which is great. It gives us an advantage. We can kind of get ahead of move our line of scrimmage a little further down the field, hopefully, and before they really start to wake up. So we want to do anything we can to prevent these puddles from developing, so we'll do that. And a couple other things too is we'll probably pull these things up and want them to hide under. And like I said, they don't need just standing water. They'll use anywhere that remains moist. Those eggs can hatch, develop with larvae, and then become problems later. So we'll need to get rid of all this stuff here. We'll pull all this stuff up, turn all these buckets upside down, or put them somewhere they can stay dry. So let's take a look at some other places, other things we can look for. So this is probably problematic too. We got an old paint can that we're trying to dry out. Obviously it didn't do that last night. This is a great place for mosquitoes to hide. So what's we got? Bird feeder. There's a bird feeder. Surprisingly, this is not holding water like I expected it to. It might have a crack in it, which is great news for us with mosquitoes. So this could be a big problem usually. With mosquitoes, the bird feeders. So we got that. Some tall grass, leaves, like that. Looks like the property is draining pretty well. I don't see a lot of pools of water. That's good. But any place where we see piles of debris, that could be problematic for us if it holds water. So let's take a look down here actually too. So looks like we've got some water here in these tarps. That could be a problem. So we need probably to get these tarps out and get them somewhere dry where the mosquitoes really can't develop. Problem here too. This is a big problem. I get problems all over the place here on this property. So we need to get this all cleaned up, get those places moved out. Let's go look up here too, see what we got here. It looks like the property is draining okay. So if it's not though, we want to do something to allow it to drain. So like I said, the water didn't sit for longer than just a few hours, so it dries up. So the key is we want dry places in case they do lay their eggs. Those eggs won't survive if it dries out. So we got a bunch of leaves here that we'd used earlier in the year trying to compost. This could be problematic. You know, if these leaves stay wet inside the leaves, that could be a place for mosquitoes potentially. So kind of look at that. A couple other things, you know, as we were looking for places mosquitoes to hide, could be gutters that aren't draining properly. And you know, I've been running a sprinkler about twice a day to keep the seeds going that are trying to sprout in the garden. And that could be a problem. That could be a real problem. So I'm going to try to cut that back to maybe once every couple days, since we've got our seeds starting to grow up here. But if that ground stays moist, then they could hatch and grow into something else. So anyway, that's what we're looking at right here. Oh, here's another great one. Yeah, so obviously this is a problem. Let's see if we see anything in here. No, I don't see any eggs or any larvae that's been hatched. When they do hatch, they'll look like little worms, little small quarter-inch worms that are wriggling. They call them wrigglers when they do that. But anyway, looks like it was draining okay. Let's see if we have water here. No, no water. That's a good sign. That's good. So hopefully that'll dry out. We have some high grass, so we need to go and get that cut probably. Kind of reduce some of that shelter for them. And then we'll do what we can and now start treating it a little bit. Thanks for watching.